I don't know what's going on. I'm the worst at YouTube. I wouldn't put myself at that high like level in Station IB. Sound should still be there. Hello. Beautiful music of Pedro, as always. Love your face, Pedro. One of the kindest, nicest people I've ever had the pleasure to talk to. It's old Pedro. Right, so, can everyone hear me okay? We good? It's pretty late here for me, but I went back to sleep for a while, so I thought I'd come on. Just do a quick update for like an hour or so, maybe, and just answer some questions. Give a quick update on the news, because we had a reply to the Crytek case from Crytek versus Star Citizen, effectively, with Crytek's kind of reply to the motion to dismiss. So we can go over that really quickly. And we've had a little bit of extra cool little stuff from the newsletter. So this is like the mess hall. We can see all the delicious foods to be in Star Citizen. All the food looks pretty flat to me. Of all the money they've spent on this game making it look amazing, they've made the food look shit. Well, it's not that bad. Yeah, it's just the eggs and the flatness of it. Feels like it's all like bump-mapped food. Do you know what I mean? I'm a monster. Am I a monster because I expect... It's because I'm a chef. That's what it is. I'm a... Okay, what the hell is this? What the hell is this, like, ravioli fucking thing with bolognese sauce or whatever they've put over it? The steak looks alright, but there's nothing with the steak. It's just, what, the little, what are they called? Not cloves. I can't remember. It's in things. Chives, maybe chives. You've got eggs and beans. Eggs and beans? And you've got some more curry here. I don't know. But we're going to start, and mustard, to go with whatever this stuff is. Monstrous. We need a food director, I think. The new newsletter came out as well, which is that was part of. And yeah, I like the fact there was lots of choice in the food there. It's cool that they're going to, obviously, they are going to iterate on the food to make it look better. It's not something, I wasn't too impressed with the way it looked. I'm impressed with the mess hall in general, though. I've just become a snobby monster when it comes to fidelity and quality in the game now. I demand a menu of food, and if the menu is not presented to me correctly, I'll send that food back. But
Tricksy little hobbits.
thank you very much, Cyclo.
I swear it was my last anniversary just the other day. Pogchomp.
Pork chomp. Thank you very much appreciated for the sub. I will do a sub drive at some point. Lots of other people seem to be doing them, and I need to diversify in content as well, because YouTube have shown that they are willing to just change their rules whenever they want, and they can come to do that. They make all their money from advertisers, or a lot of their money from advertisers, so they need to keep them happy. So that means they're going to almost always be thinking about the advertisers,
Tricksy little
rather than the
hobbits.
content creators.
Bored WTF time is this?
Green Surge, thank you very much. You're a legend. Mwah. Senpai kisses you. But yeah, so at any point, YouTube could switch off the monetization button, I suppose, on anyone's channel if they wanted to. So having a stream and being able to diversify in some other content like Patreon stuff is fucking amazing for me, because it means I can kind of unrestricted do stuff that I want to do. And having an entirely unmonetized channel at some point would be amazing, actually, because then you wouldn't have to worry about YouTube and you could still make the content. So maybe we'll push for that. I have been very well supported by the community, so thank you very much. Some other stuff. They had some ship updates as well, which we will go over in a moment. Let's not read that, because that is a script. Oh no, what? I'm clicking on lots of stuff, different stuff. So there was the ship updates, which we'll go over in a minute, and there was the reply to Crytek's reply to the case. That they are currently in the legal battle for. So let's bring this up. So basically, Crytek responded to CIG's motion to dismiss the case. So basically, what CIG had said in this case, that everything that Crytek was saying is covered in the GLA, and they haven't broken any of it, and it's just kind of ridiculous. But Crytek have come back and said, and doubled down and said, no, every point that we made stands, and the court shouldn't dismiss this. Now, from reading it and looking at it, and then watching Leonard French's opinion as well, it looks like that some of the points may be struck or dismissed, but there's potential for some of them to not be dismissed because they require more of a viewing from the court to realise if they are accurate or correct or not. So we might see some more of a prolonged battle from CIG and Crytek. Now, looking at it in more detail, it does look like it will probably be some minor things. They're still quibbling about the term of exclusivity, which is odd to me, because when you look through the actual GLA, the GLA is there to protect largely CIG and not force them to have to use an engine, but give them exclusive rights to use that engine. It's worded like that. So it was just an interesting thing to me. But they're still quibbling about the word exclusivity and saying that CIG should have exclusively used only the CryEngine and could never have switched. Which is, again, odd, because they paid 1.8 million euros for the CryEngine, and they could not have made a game if they don't want to. They're not getting any more from it. They've paid for the engine. They've paid the 1.8 million euros already, and it's just a bit of an odd case. There might be some bits and bobs of the case that are genuine from a point of view of Crytek that CIG have broken in some way, but they're quibbling again about Squadron 42 and Star Citizen being separate games, even though in the GLA it defines Star Citizen and Squadron 42 as the game. Thank you very much, Serendi. I appreciate the host. But it defines them as the game, so it'd be like me defining these two controllers as the controller, and then them saying, no, it's for one controller, not two. But no, the term defines both as the game. So it's a lot of wordplay here, and there's the potential for them to settle out of court, which is, in these sort of cases, likely. It's a $1.8 million euro contract, so typically it would be less than that they would settle for in certain bits. But we have to see exactly what has actually been broken, if anything. It's an interesting one because I thought it was totally open and shut with the GLA, and it kind of is. It's just they're not gonna. It's very unlikely that they get the full dismissal of everything. Some of it will probably be dismissed. There's like the promises of things, and they state like a lot of that is slightly obscured or obscure, so they have to go to a discovery phase to be able to find that. I wouldn't expect anything major to happen from it, even if it was all totally bad. $1.8 million euro contract. Probably go, yeah, well, we're not using your engine anymore if the worst comes to the worst. Which is true. They're not. But, I mean, potentially could just be entirely dismissed, or potentially it will just be mostly dismissed and then a couple of things will stand and they'll probably settle out of court. But we will cover this in a bit more detail on the weekend. But I thought, yes, it is 1:23 AM for me. Well, contracts aren't a moral thing either. It's very much a money thing. So if you break a contract, in this sense, you have to pay the price. That's the idea of them. They're to give you money if the agreement's breached. You say, well, but yeah, it's an interesting one. Let's have a look at some questions. Can the Buccaneer be flown, or is it glitched? The Buccaneer can be flown. I was flying it the other day. Shouldn't be glitched. You might have to reclaim it. So spawn it if you can't get it in it for some reason, then reclaim it on the ship console. When Squadron 42 being released to all backers? We don't know. The hope is in 2018. We will find out a bit more on the 25th of January. Next week, the new website's coming online with a new roadmap, which should hopefully give us a lot more information about what's happening for the rest of the year. And there's going to be a Squadron 42 special from around the verse, which should give us a bit more information on the 25th of January as well, so on Thursday. I've got quite a sore throat, so if I'm speaking quite slowly and softly, and it's quite late here, it's one of the reasons I want to get my room soundproofed. Where is my document on the ship updates that I wrote? So there's 18 ships that have had tangible progress in the last 8 weeks. We learnt a little bit about the F8 Lightning. So the Lightning is going to have 4 size 2 guns, 2 size 3 guns, and loads of missiles, at least. That's the current kind of intention of it. It's in its final white box phase, just about to go to the grey box phase, assuming it gets approved. And then we found out about the Avenger rework. The Squadron 42 team are kind of done with it now. They've scaled it up for their needs. And then it's gone back to the PU team to do final modelling and surface tweaks of the final art phase before it gets pushed onto like flight ready and all that sort of jazz. They're working on all the variants as well. So we're going to get a much larger Avengers. The Hammerhead is in the kit bashing interior stage. The Eclipse and 600i and Mustang rework are all in final art. The Hurricane is in the grey boxing stage, as is the Blade and the Connie Phoenix. And the Razor, Terrapin, Reclaimer and Cyclone are all in flight prep phases. So they are the ships that are most likely to be coming out with 3.1, although potentially we could see the 600i, the Eclipse and the Mustang rework as well. And there might be some other surprises in there. Yeah. I was shouting a little bit when I was playing PUBG earlier as well. So, Crytek don't necessarily need to be able to prove any of their points in the same way. It's not a criminal case by any means. They want a trial, effectively by jury, which would mean it would just be the most convincing argument to certain points. Like, and there would be like a big checklist of things that the jury need to tick if they believe them or not believe them. So, did CIG have a contract with Crytek, and is that contract still valid? Is that are they still bound by it? And all the loads and loads of points that the jury will go yes, 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 no, no, yes, yes. If it's done by that, if it's done by a judge, it'll be a bit more. I mean, I think it should be done by a judge, but I don't know much about this kind of law. I have to wait and see. Crytek are moving for the judge more reasoned-based arguments where they can kind of change their opinion opinion-based arguments rather than reason-based arguments. You know what I mean? So how does Crytek justify suing CIG for both using and not using their engine at the same time? It's either one or the other. Yeah, well, they're just putting all into their case. They're covering all of their bases. I mean, that's what you would do if you wanted to sue someone. You cover all your bases and say, if this is not the case, then this is the case. And they're trying to make their report as thorough as possible, so that they can get some of it through to a trial. That's what they want. They want it to go to court. As soon as it goes to court, it's much more likely it will be settled by CIG out of court, because they don't want to sod around in court and pay loads of court fees. And even if Crytek won on a small minor amount, they might be liable for like the fees that Crytek would have to pay, or something like that. But we'll have to wait and see exactly. It's probably wrongdoing on both sides, and to some extent. Though I do think that it is just a doubling down, an interpretive kind of look at the contract that they've just gone, well, it's not really clear any of this. We might be able to get a bit of money. Probably what's trying to be happening there. But it wouldn't be much money. How much of the PE's performance is ultimately affected by your computer's hardware? A reasonable amount. Once you get to like the higher end computers, then not much. Massive diminishing returns. Once you go past like mid-end, so like 4th gen Intel CPUs, I mean, we're on 8th gen now, so 4th gen i5s, i7s should be pretty good at running the game. The game is incredibly RAM hungry. I've got 32 gigs of RAM. People with 16 or under may actually be having problems. 16 is probably enough, but it does gobble it up. Especially there's lots of other bugs that are related, lots of other RAM memory leaks that are related with like Windows Defender and Logitech and stuff. There's lots of things that you can optimize and tweak out. Again, having a page file on an SSD, having the game on an SSD helps a load. Having a 1060 plus as a graphics card. I've got a 1080 Ti. I've got the top end kind of hardware, all geared for Star Citizen. So even though it's massive diminishing returns, I'm still getting those extra few frames. But a lot of it, most of it, is just badly optimized code and lack of scaling. So there's going to be a load of work, and there is a load of work currently going on that for 3.1. I expect 3.1 to be significantly more optimized, even pre-object container streaming, because that's what they are focusing on for 3.1. There is going to be more content, there is going to be ships, there is going to be more flesh on the bones, but the actual optimization of the game, the core combat, I was doing that video today on how to contact Miles Eckhart. There was a guy that posted up, if you do 2 ECN alert missions by Delamar, so you literally go to by Levski, fly near Levski, get ECN alert missions. If you do 2 of those missions on the same server without restarting or anything, they spawn every like 10 minutes around that area. And you have to fly to them. You can't quantum travel as them. You have to fly to them from Delamar. Then Miles Eckhart will contact you for a mission. And I was like, oh my fucking god, I didn't. And the reason I hadn't tried that properly before, since PTU, in fact, is because it's really, really hard to do. There's a load of ships with a load of health, and you have to missile spam them to death or go there with a group to be able to defeat them, because otherwise they're pretty much semi-invincible, especially if you're using like energy weapons, just like pinging off them. That was, yeah. And every time I was trying to aim at something, my ship would just randomly just start aiming somewhere else. Like, oh my fucking god. ESP is so broken, but the IFCS just doesn't want to stay still and stuff either, which is really annoying. Like, that core combat has to be perfect for Star Citizen. Has to be. And we need to make sure it is as well. Yeah, it's an interesting one for Crytek as well, because they're creating lots of bad press for themselves. Like, either way, win or lose, that engine wasn't appropriate for what Star Citizen moved into. It was probably appropriate for the original concept of Star Citizen. Its original old school, up to 2012 kind of concept, maybe up to mid like 2013 concept, and then obviously the game scope just went massive, and they kept on expanding it. But they needed an engine to cover what they had moved into, I suppose. Oh yeah, yeah. So almost all of these, I was looking through so many other cases and looking at other people's takes on it. Like Leonard French is probably one of the best people to look at about it because he does it regularly. There's a couple of other YouTube people that are presentable that are experts in the field, and they all seem to think, yeah, there's some light merit to the case, which would mean it could go to trial. And most cases won't go to well, they'll go to court, but they'll get settled. But yes, it's a 1.8 million euro contract. So, if, for example, and this is not going to happen, but so extremely unlikely to happen that I'd eat my headphones if it did. If Crytek was found in favour of Crytek on all counts, they've got to look at what the damages are and how much you would award Crytek based on those damages. Now, how has Crytek been damaged? How much is it for? It's for a 1.8 million euro contract, which has been paid by CIG already. And they're not even using their engine anymore. So you need to look at it like that and say, well, how much would a license have been if they entirely bought it out? And they'd get rewarded appropriately. So, I mean, it could be up to probably 1.8 million euros again. That's the sort of thing I think. If Squadron 42 will affect your character in the PU after finishing it, if you replay Squadron 42, how will this affect your current character? I assume if you replay it, you'll replay it with a different character. Because I was thinking of this the other day. It's also potential that you'll play it with the same character and just get more diary entries. And it will be like you remembering stuff differently or something. That's an interesting question. But it will either be you playing with another character or just add more entries to your diary, potentially. What ships that we haven't heard from in ship shape are you looking forward to? 890 Jump, Carrack, very much so. They're almost certainly going to be coming out this year as flyable. Yeah, they're probably the two I'm most excited for. I'll buy so many ships to say Crytek lose. It's not the sort of thing that they will win or lose on. I mean, most of the stuff could get dismissed, and then they could do a minor settlement out of court or something. I mean, it's potentially Crytek do have some reasons to have sued CIG. We're not fully aware of everything yet. The GLA does seem to support CIG. It does seem to say that they've acted in good faith. But they might not have. There might have been promises that we're not aware of. It does look like they didn't update, or they might have. It doesn't look like they sent any updates to Crytek for the CryEngine, and that's one of the things they were supposed to if they were appropriate. Now, they might have moved over to their version of the Star engine using CryEngine so that they couldn't update the engine any further, or it was too complex or whatever to do, in which case that would be fine. Or they might have sent updates, or they might not. We don't know. So there's still interesting things with the case. It's definitely one to watch, and I will bring you the news on it, as will lots of other people, I'm sure. But I'll do a video on it on the weekend. I've already watched Leonard French's live stream on it and read it, but I want to watch his live stream again on it because yeah, I think it gives me I want to pipe it down into like 5 minutes. Joel Sosipel, thank you very much for the sub, much appreciated. Hi, do you know if there's a fix getting stuck in free look? Pressing Z, holding H, bring up your Mobiglass. There's a few that kind of can work. Want to play PUBG with me and my guys after I'm ranked in the top 5%? Vikings, you're more than welcome to message me. You're more than welcome to teach me how to fucking play PUBG. But I'm going to bed after this stream. It's just a quickie. Any updates from the FPS portion of the game, like any added movement options, climbing, dodging, space sprint plays stiffly? I mean, they're updating the animations. They're doing it so there's no idle animations for weaponry and stuff as well. So that should help with the stiffness and the fluidity of movement. They're having all that procedurally generated frames, the procedural frames for the animation. That should be coming in between 3.1 and 3.4. So you're going to get a lot more fluidity and added movement. You can scroll up and down and stuff on the mouse wheel. There's some pretty good options there with vaulting and things like that. It doesn't play the best at the moment, Stormring, because it's a bit broken. Although I quite enjoy it. You need more animations there, and we need the netcode to be solid. Is the Freelancer Max flyable yet? No. It's been lightly reworked as well. Thank you very much, Costa. What is causing the hanger modules to disappear, assuming you're having the issue? I haven't tried to gain my hanger for a couple of days. I don't know. There's lots of problems with persistence currently, though. I want them to hotfix some of the persistence issues. I want them to lower the requirements for the mission givers, so that you can just do it with a couple of missions or a few missions. Because every time the server resets or you leave and come back, the persistence of your ship isn't saved. So it doesn't matter where well, it's only saved if you're in a landing zone, I should say. But the reputation for missions isn't saved either, which just makes getting to the mission givers, which requires a reasonable amount of reputation, harder. That said, you can do 2 ECN missions to get to Miles Eckhart, although killing the ships there is hard unless you go with a group or a missile spamming ship. Any idea when the Freelancer Max will be ready? 3.2 probably. So June. That's when I suspect to see it. 100,000 players getting banned for cheating recently in PUBG. Who was Star Citizen going to combat cheating? So they've actually started working on anti-cheat stuff. They're actually looking at it properly now. I'm hoping we get some sort of Overwatch type system that they have in Counter-Strike. So Counter-Strike, the way that it is, you can report people, and then those people will get viewed by community members who will then see from their point of view if it looks like they're cheating. Which is cool. And then that gets voted on, basically. Reverse the Verse next week is Squadron 42 with Chris Roberts. Yes, I'm really looking forward to it as well. Next week is also the new website and new roadmap. Yeah, I get 80, 90 frames a second when I play single player Vandal Swarm or Pirate Swarm. You have to use ballistic weapons there at the moment, which is annoying because I used to really love it, energy weapons. Does the Verpal Mongoose stick have a rotating axis? I don't know. I really love the idea of Verpal sticks though. They're fucking great. You'll have to check on the website and read it. Do you think the realistic physics is harming the flight model? I mean, they're not entirely realistic, the physics now. They always say they're going to trump, fun will trump realism. Well, what's doable, fun, and then realism with the physics. Yeah, I think that they should move towards slightly more sensible flight model, remove some of the realistic physics bits. They can have the realistic. They can have the sense of the realistic physics. They can fake some of it, and that will give much better performance. And it'll make the flight model a bit better. So, yes, I would be happy for them to sacrifice a little bit of realism for much better control. That combat, that flight has to feel fun. It has to feel responsive. It has to feel good. And if you have to sacrifice a bit of realism for that, fuck it. I noticed lately flying the Starfarer and Gemini, they both seemed really hard to control. Is that a bug with flight controls? Yes, all ships are hard to control, especially if you're trying to fight or move in a straight line even. The ESP is broken. The IFCS is also broken. So there are flight model issues and combat issues at the moment. So yeah, it's harder to fly them. Everything's like a lot slidier. Anyway, I could describe it. Any way to fix the issue? You like 3 copies, so your ship when you go to spawn them. Typically, that's because you've logged out oddly, or you've logged in from a different server group. Quickly, I think. Just check to see where the ship's stored, and go for the one that's stored somewhere. The rest will have like commas and not be stored anywhere. That might help you. owning/using a crucible to repair an abandoned destroyed ship. How would the ownership transfer from the previous owner or crew to the crew of the crucible? That's an interesting one, actually. And we'll learn more when we come to salvage. And we're going to get salvage and repair with 3.2. That's the plan. So there'll probably be design documents and talking more about the future of those kind of mechanics. It might be potentially that you have to have them re-registered, those ships, or whatever. Or a ship can only be salvaged or whatever after a certain amount of time. You can go, oh, there's an abandoned ship here. Is there anyone around? I can legally salvage this. And if you do it correctly, you won't get a criminal rating. But if you do something and it will say, no, this ship cannot legally be salvaged currently, then you'd be breaking the law. It'll be something like that. No. So the Ruto mission I was looking at a while ago, having a negative criminal rating, so being a criminal, and then turning on and off comm relays and stuff. I was fucking around with that. That's when we've got Ruto before, but that was PTU. So no, so they should be able to release hotfixes and minor patches between their quarterly release schedule. So they've moved over to this quarterly release schedule. So 3.1 will be coming in March, 3.2 will be coming in June, 3.3 will be coming in September, 3.4 will be coming in December. 4 patches a year. That's the idea, 4 major patches a year anyway. And then they will still have hotfixes and minor patches if and when they're available. So you might get ships, you might get balance updates or the ball bug or whatever, or you're constantly getting quantumly interdicted. That'll get fixed out. End of March for 3.1. Likely to have a Eva Carty build of 3.1 towards the mid to end February though. When salvage comes online, will it be possible to salvage derelicts on planets or that represent mission givers? Don't know. It's an interesting one as well. Like, can you salvage wrecks that are mission-based wrecks and derelicts that you find out in the verse? I'm hoping that you can. It's probably that salvage will be a bit more complicated than we originally thought. So it might not just be the nomming up of all metal of a ship. You might have to remove parts of the ship or break bits of the ship down or look for individual components. Though the Reclaimer is a bit more munchy, isn't it? Nom nom nom. I'd hope you'd be able to munch most things up. One of the reasons that you see like a Reclaimer landing, I'm assuming, would be to nom a wreck up on a surface of a planet. From me, Sundays, yeah, I'll probably start doing some more streaming on Sundays. Yeah, we can probably do something. It's probably a better idea that I diversify some streaming on the weekend. I noticed on the ATV website that there was a bunch of animations, and I worry that there'll be overly done animations that bog down the site further. It was lagging on ATV. Thoughts? We'll have to wait and see. I've only seen the stuff on the website that you've seen, so I don't know. Hopefully it's nice and simple. I agree, I don't want bullshit there that lags the stuff down. Per PC per... Oh, no. I lost. What do you think are the major issues with the current flight model, and how would you like to change them? They just need to fix a lot of stuff. So the IFCS kind of oscillates. It's not particularly responsive or quick when you do want it to turn, and it's quite floaty, so just kind of fix that in the short term, and then have ESP fixed so I can aim at things, because at the moment when you're aiming at something with ESP, you're kind of tracking it, and then it will slow you down until you get to the edge of the target, and then it will slide you past it again. It's a really odd thing. ESP is supposed to like normalise your movement as you get closer and closer to the centre of the target. Well, there's a bike going past my house. So that you kind of track with it more easily. But ESP's not working like that at the moment. So at the moment, I'd like them just to fix those issues, and then I can reevaluate the flight model. Also, actually, I would like ships to feel heavier in atmosphere. Have you had experiences playing on the US and AUS servers? Yes. So typically you have a higher ping, but I have, at the times of the day I'd go on, I'd have significantly better frame rates because the servers are quieter. Are you tired? You look very tired. Yes, it's around 2 a.m. where I am. I thought I'd come online quick just to chat because people were asking me to. And I'm a bit of an insomniac anyway, so I'd just be lying there going, So is mining available, or is it in 3.1? So they've redone their schedules, and they've redone the naming of the patches and everything. They've gone over to this quarterly release schedule, so we're getting a major patch every 3 months. Mining will be in 3.2, along with repair and salvage, and some other major mechanics as well, which will be in June. You can't play 3.0. Any advice? Lions Ground, message me. I'll have a look. I remember you saying that you've had some issues before. I've seen you in the comments saying you've had some issues before. Message me on my Discord and I'll try and help you. Since CIG staff watch live streams like this, can CIG answer my avatar your nemesis question since I'm a concierge customer? It's an interesting way of getting your question answered by CIG. I hope they're watching my stream. Any idea what's in 3.1? Potentially those ships that I mentioned earlier, which would be most likely new ships, the Razor, the Terrapin, the Reclaimer, and the Cyclone. They are focusing on core combat, so expect the flight model to be a bit tweaked, expect the ship combat, all that sort of jazz, to feel a lot better and actually be fixed. Optimization is one of the key major things, and then it's going to be kind of the polish on all of the 3.0 stuff that they didn't get to do. So also expect a load more flesh on the bones, like extra missions, the mobiGlas functionality, the star map working a bit better, more items and weapons and stuff to buy, potentially, and hopefully there's a helicopter going over my house. That's not potentially, hopefully what's going to happen. Ships to buy in game. So they said 3.1 for ships to buy. Hopefully that's still the case. If you can buy ships in game with Alpha UEC, that is a big, tangible amount of gameplay for people that they can actually try out the game and try lots of different ships. So that'd be cool. Who wants to see BoredGamer teach a live twerking class? Wow, Mark Thomas. I mean, that's a big donation. I'll happily do a bit of twerking class. No, thank you very much appreciated for the $30 mark. I don't think anyone wants to see me twerk it. Although, if I get drunk at BrizzleCon or some of the other fan events, you'll probably see me dance and be a bit of a scallywag. Would you rather have a drag and drop
Tricksy little hobbits
in the mobiGlas like PUBG? Thank you very much, Kieran. Love your face. Hope you're doing alright, bro. I'll talk to you in a bit as well. Would you rather have a drag and drop UI like PUBG rather than the one we currently have, which is very slow to click through? Yeah, I would. Because we're just clicking save and equip anyway, aren't we? So why not have a drag and drop system? Drag and drop. I mean, it's a placeholder for the inventories anyway. Because soon we're going to have lootable corpses and significantly better inventory systems. So it's just a placeholder, so we'll have to wait and see what they're going to do with that anyway. But yeah, drag and drop one is certainly better than the one we currently have. Are we going to be able to travel and orbit suns in the solar system centers? You'll be able to do it manually. They are going to exist. So yeah, why not? You won't be able to get too close to them, I don't expect, without taking damage and then dying. Do you think the component values will change ship prices before beta? Yes, I do. They use Price Fixer and Trade Slayer, two apps that, tools which work out the prices of components and materials that build those components and the current market prices and all that sort of stuff, and then work out how much an item should be and then how much a ship should be and all that sort of stuff from that data that keeps on changing dynamically. Do you think that the Dragonfly's price makes sense? I don't think that the dollar value of ships represents very well how much that ship will be worth in game, and they will get balanced a lot. So don't expect a dollar value to directly represent how much it's going to be in-game. Thank you for being willing to stay up and talk to us. Oh no, this is literally my job. I fucking love being able to talk about Star Citizen and do Star Citizen news and have an amazing community like I do. So thank you very much for staying up and listening to me. Any word if they're going to make the dirt a bit bigger and maybe fit a cyclone? Unlikely, but I don't know. I haven't seen the changes of the internals. Do you think radiation will be a mechanic? Yep, there will be different types of suits and stuff you can wear, different types of components and things, different types of meds, but also lots of different environmental hazards. The room system, which is what controls pressure and oxygen, also controls environmental hazards and toxins and stuff. And there's going to be loads of things. There's going to be like electric fog, there's going to be sandstorms, there's going to be lots of stuff, and radiation. No worries, Garen, mate. We'll talk tomorrow. You take care, bro. I fucking love your face. So I've been worried about something. I've just updated my PC to a 1080. I love it, but now that I've used it, I'm worried we'll need the next-gen GPUs that are not out yet. Thoughts? Well, we won't need them now. Your 1080 is probably worth more money now than when you bought it because of Bitcoin mining, which is a really odd position to be in. I bought my 1080 for like £680. It's now worth £890, my one, which is insane because I bought mine when they actually released them. It's just gone up in value loads. No, so Star Citizen will become more optimised and more scalable, so you won't need next-gen stuff. If you want to run it at 1440p at max settings at like 140 frames, yeah, you probably will need a next-gen card. But if you're looking for 60 frames at high to near, kind of getting close to ultra settings, but concessions on your like resolution to 1080 or whatever, then you're going to be fine. No, so there's a hospital near me with a helipad on. I'm worried that by making the game too simmy, that they're going to take fun out of the game. Thoughts? Yeah, I want it to be fun over sim, though I do want there to be deeper sim elements to it. You don't want it to be Sim Citizen. Totally agree with you. Fun needs to trump pretty much everything else, although there does need to be deeper, more complex gameplay there as well, with a bit of sim to it. And that's what they are trying to push for. We're the people that need to kind of keep them on track with that. We're going to start to get a load of these mechanics online this year, and next year, and then hopefully a beta thereafter. So when we get the mechanics, we need to evaluate them. We need to talk about them on Spectrum, on Reddit, and all that sort of stuff, and then see what the crowd source. When it comes to ideas and what's a better option, what's a worse option, is this good, is this bad? Will there be a shuttle service in the game? I believe that one of the things that they're doing with the procedural cities and the procedural city tech is to have districts, and those districts can have public transport, which we will be able to go in. And I believe there will also be transportation that will be down from stations to planets and that sort of stuff. And you'll be able to get transported around the verse in other people's transport and NPCs' transport, and these like shuttles and things that will just go, take me from Hurston to Terra. Any news on the bug that makes ships unseeable and that takes away their gear, like weapons and doors, when you summon them? Half of my ships are affected. What you need to do, or the current quick workaround, is to reclaim those ships that are affected, and sometimes that'll fix it. They are aware of the problem and they're working on it. Other than that, it's one of the things that has to be hotfixed, in my opinion, in the very, very soonness, along with the ping pong ball bug. Would you like to see space mines and land mines for anti-ships and vehicles? Yes. I think that's a very, very good idea. There's going to be bases and stuff. You want lots of different types of defense. Do you think turrets will ever work right? Yes, 100%. Both defense turrets and NPC turrets and player turrets. They need to get that combat right. And 3.1 should be significantly better for that and for that multiplayer experience, including turrets being better to fire. You want those turrets to be the best option, having them crewed by a human. You want to go, I'm going to wreck some stuff in this turret, rather than go, let's just get an AI module or an NPC, we'll be able to find them better. Do you know if there's any plans to make it a possibility to arm pylons so that we can bring several missile types for different purposes and select which one to fire? I believe that is the intention, yes. You'll be able to select exactly what missiles you want from your set. Do they change the cost to weight ratio of cargo? Because I can't seem to fill my cargo faster, but it costs more. I don't know what you mean. The prices of the commodities change though. With player rep affecting orgs, how do you think they will accommodate players who have multiple characters, game packs per account, with different reps? What do you mean? You can totally have 2 characters with 2 different reps. They won't affect each other. If they're in an org, the org will have a reputation as well, which will be affected by anyone that's in that org. And I believe characters are in orgs, not players. If you see what I mean. So I wouldn't be in an org, but if I had 4 characters, they could all be in separate orgs. Any update on the Anvil Hawk? Do you think we'll see it in 3.1? No, we won't see it in 3.1. It's going to take a while, so potentially could see it by the end of the year, though. Are we going to be able to select multiple nav points when piloting a quantum travel? What do you mean multiple? Like jump, then jump, then jump, then jump in a row? Probably yes. I believe that's the intention. Do you think the decision to allow bikes to travel faster in atmosphere than on land is wise? No. I want bikes, once they're in atmosphere, to effectively be locked to the ground. And I will still kind of push for that. And we'll see what they do. But I want them to act as ground vehicles almost. Otherwise it's going to be silly. I'm managing to run Star Citizen decent on my 560 Ti. Wow. See, the problem is the 1080 is so expensive at the moment. You wait until there's a new card or there's some sort of lull in the Bitcoin mining. At the moment, they're massively overpriced, those 1080s. How will the prospecting mechanic work with a prospector? We don't entirely know. I think the idea is that you fly onto an asteroid, you can scan stuff down. Being closer to an object will probably give you better scanning resolution, and then you can drill into it and then see what's there and to decide whether you want to drill further into it or set up properly to mine into it. It'll probably give you readouts on the materials and stuff that you discover. It's probably pretty simple, the prospector. Isn't the rec shop bugged at the moment? I don't know. I have bought some stuff with rec, but that was a couple of weeks ago, or possibly longer. Regarding the Terrapin, do you think it makes sense that the ship has a separate scanning seat, but only one bunk? So it's supposed to be entirely flyable by a single player, is the idea. If you took 2 people out, I suppose you could just do short-range scanning together, but you'll be able to hover in your Terrapin and then scan. It's supposed to either be scanning or moving, not both. I think that's the idea of the Terrapin. You're still not getting a Nox loan. So I was sure that the Nox Q was in-game in the PTU, or at least the Ivocati build. You're not even getting a Nox loaner for having the Nox Q. I don't know what's up with that. I will have a look, though. What do you want to see most from the upcoming SC updates? The Reclaimer, probably, in the short term. But actually, scratch that. I do want to see the Reclaimer a lot. A combat model and flight model that is fun and easy to play. If they can get 3.1 to the point where the flight model feels fun and that people want to play Arena Commander, people want to fly around, and people can actually do some of the fucking missions where you have to fight pirates, that'll make me a lot happier. Do you know if it's intended to lose the ammo in turrets? I think your oxygen tank goes in the retaliator. Yeah, so some of the seams are broken, so that when you're in the turret, there's like a seal that's broken, so it thinks you're outside of the ship. That they are fixing that with a load of the ships. I thought they'd fixed it with almost all of them. Is there a way to exchange my 300i for an Avenger with cargo space? You can melt your 300i and then buy an Avenger. The price of video cards is speculated to be caused mostly by the sheer volume of Chinese games, according to Steam user stats. I thought it was Bitcoin mining. Yes, I know it's 2 AM. I will go to bed in a second. Just wanted to chat for a bit, because I hadn't streamed in the last any Star Citizen anyway in the last couple of days. But I've been doing loads of PUBG, and people were asking me about the Crytek thing. And I was like, yeah, cool. We'll have to wait. We'll have to sit and wait and see. But it's not going to be awful, whatever. It's an interesting one as well, because it's like a bit of a shit show as a case. It's going to be interesting. See, we'll certainly be settled out of court for a small amount of money. Say small amount. It's probably like $1 million or something there. So, I mean, I used to buy 10k of gold to fill up 4 spaces in my ship. Now it's 10k gold fills up 6 spaces. I don't know. The size of commodities shouldn't have changed. Is there a way to exchange? That's what answered that. Will there be a decoupled EVA? Potentially on some suits. Yeah, you could potentially have that, couldn't you? Decoupled EVA. When do you think the Hull series will be added? They've actually done a lot of the Hull C already. So the whole series, it will be a while, because it's the E is massive. But the Hull C and then the Hull A and B, probably by the end of this year. Do you think we'll ever see another long-range heavy fighter that compares with the Vanguard Warden? I'm not sure how long-range the F8 Lightning is going to be, but it probably will be shorter range than the Vanguard Warden. We might see like something like the Redeemer when it's redone, share some of the heavy fighter aspects of a Warden. You've got the Warden, you've got its variants, obviously. Hurricane's not going to be as long range. Yeah, it's a good point. There's no like really long range fighters other than the Vanguard. You'll probably see another one at some point. The Banner Defender's probably... Oh, yeah, the Banner Defender's a long range fighter. So, given we have quarterly updates and beta was said to be released with 3.0, is it reasonable to assume that beta would come out mid-2019? So the earliest I'd expect to see a beta would be end of 2019, and that's optimistic. So CIG have changed the numbering of all the patches and have switched over to quarterly reschedule. So it's entirely different now, Jason. It's an entirely different beast. So all of the previous slides have basically been rescheduled and moved around. You will see a lot more of actually what the roadmap is next week. Next week they are updating the website and they're updating the roadmap to give us a lot more information. Yeah, it's much more likely to be in 2020, a beta. 1080s 800 in Europe. They're about £800 here in the UK. You can get them for like between 700 and 800. If I melt my 300i, I won't lose my Squadron 42 or something. It's my only ship. I don't know your exact package. If you've only got a single game package and you melt that, you will lose everything in that package. But you could potentially just rebuy it immediately. I'm not sure if you bought your package on a promo. Not sure how much your package is worth. I don't know. You can click on the melt button and see how much it's worth. It will say type in here to get this money back. So don't type in here to get the money back, but just see how much it's worth. So you'll get $25 back or something. That might not be appropriate. So work it all out. Pretty sure that the recent Rev video had something about someone talking specifically about wanting decoupled EVA. Yeah, I remember them talking about decoupled EVA, and I suspect that some of the suits will have decoupled EVA. Do you think that CIG will lower some ships' prices when the values are adjusted, or just raise other ship prices? I don't know. I think probably just raise other ships' prices. Probably. You'll occasionally get slight tweaks of price, but it will almost always be upwards. The bullbug is killing me. I'm sorry, man. Like, I feel sorry for you. I feel like I need to apologise almost for CIG that I want that bullbug fixed. It's not fair the people that are affected by it, especially the people that want to play a load. The BMM supposedly has shops and stalls. Does that mean we'll be able to run a brick and mortar shops someplace else? Potentially. You might be able to run shops in outposts that you build yourself. In like the Caterpillar, maybe there might be a module for it, or you might be able to, have them on some of the planets and things. That'd be cool if you can. Might just be like a big auction house marketplace. It might be a bit smaller. You have to move it around from planet to planet or system to system. I'd like to see planetary economies separately. I think that would actually make the game pretty cool. So the point of decoupled is that you're moving from... So in coupled mode, you're moving from the engines directly behind you, pushing you. Whereas in decoupled mode, you can move from the thrust from side to side, and you haven't got that necessarily that push of going in that direction, so you can strafe up and down freely and use that momentum instead. In combat, you want to be going from decoupled and decoupled. You want to keep on switching so that you move erratically. £760 for a 1080 Ti today in the UK. Yeah, I think mine's 890 or something. No, something stupid. When do I think GPU prices will become more reasonable? I don't know. At some point in the future, it's worth waiting for. And put it that way, it's worth waiting for them to come down. Any other questions? If there's no other questions, I'll go to bed. There's more questions. I'll answer some questions. Thank you very much for joining me today, by the way. Thank you for all the subs. Thank you for the donations. Appreciated. That's a better way of describing decoupled mode. Struggling to describe what it does. Decoupled mode allows you to change the way you are travelling independent of the way you're facing. Yes. What's the purpose of luxury ships? Will AI pay for tickets and do some cruise? So luxury ships are... Some of them are going to be for like VIP missions, so yeah, NPC VIPs. Some of it is just because they look cool, so players will want them as status symbols. There is going to be gameplay attached to them, but typically luxury ships will have like luxury components and high grade components off the bat, and they'll basically be able to do a lot of stuff that the cheaper ships can do, but a bit better. Off the bat kind of thing. Like I suspect the 600i is just a better version of a Constellation Aquila, although pretty similar, but a bit better, and at least cool. How much do you think the flight model will have changed on release?
I'm going to buy so many spaceships.
Oh, thank you very much.
Let's get those walls soundproof for more late-night streams. Notice me, Senpai.
Senpai has noticed you, fucking. Thank you very much appreciate for the donation. Love your fucking face. How much do you think the flight model will have changed on release? Oh, a lot. They'll keep on iterating onto it until it works, and there'll be so much balance changes, and there'll be so many tweaks that it'll be a complete different beast, I suspect. Do you think the full lineup of flyable ships will be available to rent with Alpha UBC, or just a single-seater focused ones? Good question. I think we'll get a range of them, not just single-seaters. I think we'll get a lot of ships, but some of them will be limited. So, like the Scythe and stuff, we might not be able to access with Alpha UBC. Although some ships might be locked behind missions and reputation and stuff that you have to get to. You might have to go to certain parts of the verse, or they might be a rare kind of spawn in a shop, potentially. Do I know where they are with the 300 series work? I know they're working on it. I know that it's going to be appearing in a ship shape in the not too distant future. I'm expecting to see it for 3.2 in June, actually flyable. But I don't know anything that they haven't told us previously. Can one upgrade the Tumble Nova to an actual spaceship? No, I think ground vehicles currently are locked to... You can only upgrade to other ground vehicles, which is a bit bollocks, to be honest. That's one of the other things that I want them to change. I want you to be able to freely change between ground vehicles and ships if you're upgrading, because, well, number one, it makes them more money, so it's just stupid not to. And I don't like the idea of locking people into any particular category of ship or vehicle. But buying insurance in-game going to be a thing? Yes. So, lifetime insurance is a thing that comes with the concept ships. It sounds like anything bought will have some form of like limited statutory insurance. So you will be able to get it back even if it's like at 90% of the cost or whatever. But you'll be able to get better levels of insurance that you can prepay for on your ships, all with in-game currency. Nothing going to be like locked to money or anything like that. Real money. They are not that kind of thing. Are they planning on adding any infantry combat in 3.1? There'll probably be better general FPS gameplay, but they are looking at FPS much more in 3.2. Would you tattoo Jaden Smith's face or on your sexy back for charity? I would for enough money. I probably wouldn't do it for charity. I'd probably do it for my own money. Or a fuck ton for charity, which made me feel like I could just like go around kicking kids in the face because I put off enough karma. Actually, that's quite a lot of karma, isn't it? Yeah, just kick some kids. Could it be possible to have a winch system in a planet vehicle transportation? I think the hope is that we have some Starlifter vehicles that will be able to carry vehicles from orbit down to planets, like big vehicles like multiple tanks or whatever. So potentially, yes. I do appreciate all the love, guys. I really do. I know I don't normally stream at this sort of odd time. Star Citizen, it's not really a game at the moment. It's fun to play. The project is amazing. 3.0, the latest alpha, really pretty, really quite fun, but it's very buggy, it's very alpha, there's not enough gameplay loops. As a project to follow and a project to participate in and help like develop, it's fucking amazing. And everyone that's like a backer has that potential to be able to help develop the game and kind of guide it, and you won't get that experience with any other game, and it's amazing. And you're like, kind of, this game looks amazing, and it feels amazing, and I think it's going to be probably the best game I've ever played once it comes out. But at the moment, it's not a sit down and play game. It's quite infuriating at times as well. Do you know if there's any plans to allow access to in-game information for apps? Like what your cooler rate is, or your cargo manifest? Yeah, I believe so. If that is a thing. I believe I have access to that outside of the game as well at some point, probably. Carillion, thank you very much for the cheer. I appreciate it. I have an idea for a ship that I think is kick-ass. Do you think it's worth going through the modelling and put it on Spectrum or something? I think it's probably worth concepting quickly. I chuck a concept up there, because that would be interesting to see if people like it. If they really like it, then I'd start slowly drip-feeding them more and more. So then start to do a bit of modelling and explain what you're doing. Do it as like a little project and do it as a little explanation as you go through. Potentially, you could get a job, or the RSI or CIG would go, this ship's cool. There is always the potential for that sort of stuff. How big do you think the Millennium Falcon would be in this game? About as big as a Millennium Falcon. Take this money and go to bed. Oh my god, Jay Johnson, that's a lot of fucking money. Thank you so much. I will take your money, but I will not go to bed yet. I'll go to bed in a minute. I'll answer some questions. I'll answer these questions. I'm not like super tired, I'm just pretty tired. You know. I mean, if I was like at a mate's house or drinking or something, I'd be up for another hour or two. Will in Star Marine be a mode with NPCs like in AC? I believe so. Yes, they want a pirate swarm on the ground, like a wave system on the ground. I believe, in the first-person shooter thing, and there will be bots eventually, and some cool PvE stuff. Will they be selling any planetary vehicles soon, buggies or bugs? Yeah. They sold the tank up until like 5 days ago. We should be seeing more and more ground vehicles this year as well. Why am I not sleeping? I will be sleeping in a minute. Did you read the new Crytek reply? Yes, I did do a quick summary at the beginning. Basically, Crytek is suing Star Citizen and recently replied to CIG's motion to dismiss, which basically CIG said all of this is meritless and should be removed. It shouldn't waste the court's time because the game license agreement basically says, well, we didn't break anything. We were allowed to move on to a different engine. We did. Simple as that. And basically covers all the rest of their points. So Crytek have replied to that and basically said, no, shouldn't dismiss any of our points. Everything stands that we said, which is reasonable from their point of view, what they would do. And they might have some merit to their case, though it looks like the GLA does cover CIG in most aspects. There's a lot of debate about the terminology of exclusive and the game, like Star Citizen, or Space Citizen, and Squadron 42, as it mentions in the thing, are referred to as the game. It literally defines that at the beginning of one part of the contract, and then goes on to say, and it's other space game are defined as the game. They then say that the game means one game, but they defined the term earlier as two. So there's like things like that need to be discussed. So it's likely that a lot of the stuff that Crytek are trying to sue CIG for will be dismissed or struck or whatever. But it's quite very possible that a couple of them will go to court because they can't dismiss them because the court need to look at them first to see if they have any merit. And if that's the case, there might be a couple of things that go to court. Potentially it could all go to court, but it's likely that a couple of things, parts of the case will go to court, and then more than likely it will be settled out of court. The contract with CIG and Crytek was for 1.8 million euros, and if any damages are owed to Crytek for whatever reason, you've got to take into consideration the value of that contract. So it wouldn't be in relation to Star Citizen's 177 million that it's raised at the moment. It would be a drop in the ocean to them, because it would be like probably up to 1.8 million euros, more like 1 million, if the sort of damages. But we'll have to wait and see. I'll cover it, and I'll do a video on it tomorrow with the update, because Leonard French did a much better job of it than me, and he is like a professional, and is not as biased as me by Star Citizen, because I look at it and I just go, Crytek are money grabbing. That's what my opinion is of it when I look at it. Yeah, but Crytek have just doubled down on their original points, and that means that the court will probably have to look at stuff in more detail. So they'll push it to court, and then it was more likely to be settled out of court, because no one wants to fuck around with that, because no one wants to pay each other's like legal fees and things like that. Is there a way to reset the account like in the PU? I did this to fix my torch, but I cannot in live to fix the wall bug. They need to make it a thing, but it's not available at the moment. But I totally agree with you. There should be a way to reset your account like that, but you can't do it, unfortunately, in the live build. Sorry, man. If Star Citizen never got past 2.6, would you have been satisfied? No. God, no. Fuck, no. I've been well pissed. I'm really looking forward to Star Citizen. Really looking forward to it. I love covering it in the news. Whatever happens with Star Citizen, my channel will do well from just covering it in general. And if for some reason I thought, or fell out of love with it or whatever, I'd move into other games as well and split the channel into like half Star Citizen and half lots of other stuff. But I love Star Citizen. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm really enjoying the project. The project is amazing to me. I'm loving the community. I'm loving the way the devs handle the information and put it towards us. There's constantly a flow of info coming out of them, and it's never enough for me or other people as well, which is a weird thing. You don't get that sort of stuff from any other game, but they just constantly pump out info, and we're like, we want more. Oh, that wasn't good enough. Give us more. I love it. Oh. Hey, Bored, where's the Carrick? Should be out this year at some point. Probably not with 3.1, more like 3.3, 3.4 sort of thing. So I think September, December time. Do you miss being a chef? I love what I do now. Being a chef was too stressful. Part of my severe depression and anxiety comes from being a chef. Lots of bad shit happened with that. So yes, I'm much happier now. I'm actually like, the first time in my life since I've been like 19. I'm probably pretty happy, pretty chill. I'm able to manage myself. I always know that if I get depressed or anxious, that I will always be better. Stuff like that. Like, I'm a fully developed human being now with the ability to survive emotionally, which is something I probably wasn't able to do before. So I'd never want to go back to being a chef. I love cooking for people. I love cooking in general, and I love being a critic of food. But I would never want to do it as a profession again. No, so with contracts and stuff like that, it's not a moral thing and it's not a dodgy thing. It's if someone's broken it, you need to see what they've broken, and then there needs to be financial monies given to the party that's been wronged. That's what the contracts are there for. How would capital ship insurance work, especially if it's a claimed derelict as well as spawning? Port Olisar, not the best place for that. Capital ship insurance will work in the same way. I'm not sure what you mean if it's a reclaimed derelict. If you reclaimed a capital ship, there would probably be processes you'd need to do to register it before you could insure it. The thing with capital ships, they'll be expensive to replace even if they are insured. You still have to pay some fees towards them, and they will take a long time to get back. They have to be effectively remade in-game, so that could be like a week, that could be a month. Do you think CIG could license from Lucasfilm? No, I don't think they will get any Star Wars. That's the one in there. Fuck that career, man. I know, right? Got a chicken dinner in PUBG just before we finished, which is good. Not really anything to do with me. I got shot. I did very much the enemy at the gates thing of I'll show you where they are, show you where he is, to the last sniper guy and just crawled out after he'd shot me to show where he was. But yes, I don't want to be stressed. I want to be in control of my stuff. Giving myself as much control and planning as possible makes me happier, and with that kind of catering industry, it's hard to do, but essential to do at the same time. When are we going to see on-foot NPC pirates? Good question. I believe the plan is for 3.3. Although they're going to start to do more stuff with NPCs on the ground in 3.2 as well. So potentially 3.2, if not 3.3. Any other questions? I fucking love you guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to probably go to bed now, but I will be streaming some Black Watchman tomorrow. It's called Black Watchman, something like that. It's like quite a complex puzzle game where there's lots of riddles and working stuff out and going on the internets and stuff. With a load of other people, we're going to be playing it on my channel together and their channels as well. And I'll be streaming some Star Citizen like this in the evening, but a little bit of a better time. Could I ease off on the noise gate? Yes, I can fiddle around with that. I'll rewatch this broadcast and I'll sort some stuff out. Apologies. Have you had anything on SIG and Mad Cat's controller? No, other than after 3.1. After 3.0 is released and Squadron 42 is released, they're going to revisit and look at what they want to do for a branded HOTAS. Do you think we'll see swords in the game? Yeah, I think we'll see some knives and swords. Potentially we might be able to manufacture ships in-game, we don't know yet. I like the idea of being able to manufacture arms and munitions and potentially ships. When will buying ships in the game be a thing? Probably for 3.1, so that's at the end of March. That's what the plan was, to have ships available to purchase with Alpha UEC. When do you think the store all cargo boxes will be implemented? They aren't implemented now. So the Auroras and the Mustang Alphas can carry 2 standard cargo units of cargo, but so it has to be bought from kiosks. That cargo, you cannot pick up a box and put it in them at the moment. That functionality will be coming later. Don't know when. Right, I'm going to look for someone else to host. Yeah, we'll get something so I understand that it's pretty quiet when I'm not talking, and when I'm talking slower and not constantly talking like I normally do. The silence is deafening, I do understand. We are going to go host Captain Richard, because I love his fucking face. As far as pets go and respawning, how about insuring your pet through a cloning clinic? Yeah, I do suspect there will be pet insurance always. You just don't want your pet to die, do you? It'd be interesting to see how they do pets, actually. Yeah, I think they want to have insurance for NPC crewmen, for certain ones, so that you can go, I don't want to lose this guy that I've invested a fuck ton of money into, and time, and the same for your pets. Do you have a time frame on 3.1? End of March. It's quarterly reschedule now, so every 3 months, March, June, September, December, there's a major patch. There might also be minor patches in between and hotfixes, but it's the major patches, so 3.1, end of March. I moved from chefing to logistical management. I hope that's a much better job. Chef equals stress. Or any other major patch. I know they're doing quarterly updates for the large patches. Yeah, so 3.2 June, 3.3 September, 3.4 December. All loot in the verse comes in crates. Does that mean CIG are okay with loot crates? Fuck off, Fonk. Oh, shit. And not all loot will come in crates, so we spawned on surfaces. You'll be able to loot players and stuff as well. Have you had your mates considered... we used to play it. I met the guy that made the game at an anime conference, Minamicon, before it was VR or anything, and he'd just got it, like, he was getting it working for VR literally while flying down to us. It was cool. But yeah, we've played it a few times. We'll probably play it again. It's probably a good idea to play it on stream. Everything became my responsibility. Right, we're going to go and host Captain Richard, because he's a dude and a legend. Bam, bam. So give this man some love. He's got a beautiful face. Take care, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll do an update on the news tomorrow. And I will do an update with the Crytek thing if I can as well tomorrow. Yeah, I do expect to see some mid-sized mining ships for 3.2. We should see a small, medium and large and potentially capital ship sized for each of the major mechanics, so salvage, mining and all that sort of jazz. So, see you guys. Peace. Love you. Thank you very much for all the subs and all the donations. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Oh no, how do I... Oh, I need to do this. And, oh, no, broke it. I broke it. Apparently this content is unavailable. Can I... No. Can I just do /host? Will that work? I'll try and do it in YouTube or something. I don't fucking know. Oh no, it's gone back. I don't know what's going on. Well, Twitch is broken. Thanks. Love you guys. Go to bed.